Let me ask you something honestly. If your life stays exactly the same after 2026, would you still respect the person you see in the mirror? You wake up tired. You give your energy to everyone else. You delay your discipline, and you call it responsibility. But deep inside, you know, it is neglect. What if I told you that putting yourself first is not selfish, but the highest form of wisdom? What if 2026 becomes the year you stop surviving and start mastering yourself? Stay with me, because if you apply what I share today, you will not only change your year, you will reclaim authority over your life, your mind, and your destiny. This promise is built on wisdom, not motivation, and it will guide everything that follows. 1. Self-mastery before worldly success. Before you chase success, pause. Before you ask the world for more, look inward. Because the greatest victories are never won outside first. Many people believe success begins with opportunity, with money, with recognition, with timing. That belief is comforting because it removes responsibility. It allows waiting. It allows excuses. But wisdom teaches something far less convenient and far more powerful. If you cannot command yourself, the world will never truly obey you. Self-mastery is the quiet discipline of choosing what is difficult now instead of what is painful later. It is the ability to sit with discomfort without fleeing, to observe emotion without becoming it, to act with intention rather than impulse. A person without self-mastery may achieve success, but they will not keep it. They may reach high places, but they will feel empty standing there. Look closely at those who collapse under pressure. They are not defeated by circumstances. They are defeated by themselves. Their anger controls them. Their fear directs them. Their cravings decide their future. And when the world tests them, they fail not because the test was unfair, but because they were unprepared within. Self-mastery is not suppression. It is understanding. It is knowing when to push and when to rest. It is training the mind to remain steady when emotions demand chaos. It is recognizing that every reaction strengthens a habit, and every habit shapes a destiny. The mind, if left untrained, seeks comfort. Comfort is not evil, but it is dangerous when it becomes a ruler. Comfort avoids effort. Comfort delays growth. Comfort whispers that tomorrow is always available. Self-mastery answers with silence, then action. A disciplined inner life creates an unshakable outer life. When you are clear inside, confusion outside loses its power. When you are calm inside, noise outside becomes irrelevant. When you are aligned inside, temptation outside weakens. Do not measure success by what you gain. Measure it by what no longer controls you. When anger no longer owns your tongue. When fear no longer decides your direction. When desire no longer dictates your discipline. That is mastery. The world rewards those who appear confident, but it bows to those who are internally ordered. Leadership is not loud. Strength is not aggressive. True authority is felt before it is seen. If you cannot wake up when you decide, how will you rise when life demands it? If you cannot control your attention, how will you control your future? If you cannot govern your habits, how will you govern responsibility? The path of self-mastery is lonely at first. Others will not understand why you refuse indulgence, why you choose silence, why you decline distractions they celebrate. Let them misunderstand. They are watching comfort, you are building command. This is where real power begins. Not with influence over others, but with dominion over self. And once this foundation is set, another truth emerges quietly, waiting to be faced. Mastery demands discipline, and discipline demands respect. And respect begins with how you treat yourself when no one is watching. 2. Discipline is an act of self-respect. Discipline is often misunderstood. It is mistaken for punishment, for restriction, for rigidity. But discipline is not cruelty. Discipline is care. It is the highest form of self-respect expressed through action. Every disciplined choice is a message sent inward. When you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce trust. When you break it, you weaken authority. Over time, the mind listens less to a leader who lies. Self-respect is built not through words, but through consistency. A person without discipline negotiates with weakness. They debate whether effort is necessary. They wait for motivation. They hope for favorable conditions. A disciplined person does not argue with reality. They move. Discipline does not depend on mood. Mood is unstable. Discipline depends on values. Values endure. When your values are clear, decisions become simple, though not easy. Look at your daily actions. They reveal the truth of what you respect. If you respect your body, you train it. If you respect your time, you protect it. If you respect your mind, you guard what enters it. Neglect is not accidental. It is a habit practiced quietly. Self-respect is the courage to do what benefits you even when it displeases you temporarily. It is choosing structure over chaos, preparation over panic, patience over impulse. It is the refusal to abandon yourself for short-term relief. Many wait to feel ready. Discipline understands that readiness is a result, not a requirement. Action creates clarity. Movement generates momentum. The body teaches the mind through repetition. Discipline builds identity. Each act of discipline tells you who you are becoming. Not who you wish to be, not who you claim to be, but who you are proving yourself to be daily. There will be resistance. There will be days when discipline feels heavy. That weight is the measure of growth. Muscles resist before they strengthen. The mind resists before it sharpens. Respect is forged under pressure. Without discipline, confidence is fragile. It depends on external validation. With discipline, confidence becomes quiet and stable. It no longer seeks approval. It stands. Discipline is saying, I am worth the effort. It is declaring that your future deserves protection from your present impulses. It is choosing to be reliable to yourself. When discipline becomes part of your character, you stop asking for permission to be strong. You stop waiting to be saved. You stop blaming circumstances. You become responsible. And responsibility unlocks a deeper realization. Discipline is not only about control, but about direction. To sustain discipline, you must understand what you are preserving, and what you are preserving is energy. 3. Energy is your true currency. Everything you do costs energy. Every thought, every emotion, every decision draws from a finite reserve. Money can be regained. Time can be reorganized. Energy, once wasted, leaves damage that is not easily repaired. Those who lack energy blame time. Those who understand wisdom protect energy first. Because without energy, discipline collapses. Without energy, self-mastery weakens. Without energy, even purpose feels heavy. Energy is not only physical, it is mental clarity, emotional stability, spiritual alignment. When these are drained, motivation disappears. Not because you are lazy, but because you are depleted. Look at where your energy leaks. Unnecessary arguments, endless scrolling, toxic conversations, overcommitment, the need to explain yourself. Each one quietly steals strength. Wise people are not always busy, they are selective. They understand that not everything deserves access to their attention. Attention directs energy. Energy shapes reality. Protecting energy is not selfish, it is strategic. When your energy is stable, your decisions improve. When your energy is focused, your actions sharpen. When your energy is aligned, effort multiplies. Rest is not weakness. Rest is maintenance. Without rest, discipline turns into punishment. With rest, discipline becomes sustainable. There is wisdom in knowing when to pause and when to push. Your environment affects energy. The people you surround yourself with influence your state. Choose those who sharpen you, not those who drain you. Choose silence when noise offers nothing. Emotional reactions consume vast amounts of energy. The disciplined mind observes instead of reacts. Calmness preserves strength. Control creates endurance. Your body is the vessel of your energy. Treat it with respect. What you eat, how you breathe, how you move, all of it matters. Neglect here will demand payment elsewhere. When energy is protected, clarity returns. When clarity returns, direction emerges. When direction emerges, self-mastery deepens. And in that stillness, a greater question forms quietly, waiting for the next step of wisdom to answer it. 4. Boundaries are wisdom, not rejection. Boundaries are not walls built from fear. They are lines drawn from clarity. Many confuse boundaries with distance, with coldness, with pride. But a boundary is simply an honest declaration of where your responsibility ends and where another's begins. Without boundaries, energy bleeds. Without boundaries, resentment grows silently. Without boundaries, you begin living a life that is not yours. Wisdom understands that not everything deserves access to you. Not every demand is an obligation. Not every expectation is your duty. When you say yes without awareness, you say no to something unseen. Often that unseen thing is yourself. A boundary is not spoken loudly. It is lived consistently. It is shown in what you allow repeatedly. People do not cross boundaries once, they cross them because they were never enforced. The untrained mind fears rejection. It believes that saying no will lead to loss. But what is lost when you abandon yourself repeatedly? What remains when you are present everywhere except within? Boundaries are the structure that allows peace to exist. Without structure, chaos feels familiar. With structure, calm becomes possible. Those who lack boundaries become exhausted, not because life is cruel, but because they are available to everything. Availability without discernment is self-neg. Neglect disguised as kindness. Wisdom teaches balance. Compassion without boundaries becomes self-betrayal. Strength without compassion becomes rigidity. The middle path is clarity. When you protect your time, your energy, your values, you are not rejecting others. You are honoring what you are responsible for. The world may resist at first. That resistance reveals who benefited from your silence. Do not explain your boundaries excessively. Explanation invites negotiation. Clarity needs no defense. A boundary is not a reaction. It is a decision made in advance. It is knowing who you are before pressure arrives. When boundaries are established, respect follows. If respect does not follow, distance will. Both are acceptable outcomes. And as boundaries create space around you, something unexpected begins to happen inside that space. Silence enters. 5. Silence builds inner authority. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is presence. In a world addicted to noise, silence feels uncomfortable. It exposes thoughts long avoided. It reveals emotions long buried. Most flee from silence not because it is empty, but because it is honest. Authority is born in silence. Before words carry weight, the mind must learn to rest. A restless mind seeks distraction. A settled mind commands attention without effort. Silence is where reactions slow down, where impulses lose urgency, where awareness sharpens. It is not passive. It is alert stillness. Those who speak constantly often listen least. Those who listen deeply speak rarely, but with impact. Silence trains discernment. When you remove noise, you hear patterns. When you hear patterns, you gain insight. When insight becomes embodied, confidence stabilizes. Inner authority is not dominance. It is certainty without aggression. It is calm that does not need to prove itself. It is presence that makes others pause. Silence teaches patience. It teaches restraint. It teaches you that not every thought deserves expression. Not every emotion requires action. In silence, you learn to observe without judgment. Observation creates distance. Distance creates control. The disciplined mind uses silence as training. Short moments at first, then longer, until silence becomes a refuge rather than a threat. From silence emerges clarity. From clarity emerges direction. From direction emerges power. Those who cannot sit in silence will struggle to stand firm in chaos. Noise weakens resolve. Silence fortifies it. As silence deepens, another truth becomes unavoidable. Silence removes distraction, and when distraction is removed, pain becomes visible. And pain, once seen clearly, demands a response. 6. Pain is a teacher, not an enemy. Pain arrives uninvited, but it never arrives without purpose. Most spend their lives avoiding pain. They numb it, distract from it, blame it. Yet pain persists, not because it is cruel, but because it is ignored. Pain is information. It signals misalignment. It points to growth resisted. It reveals truths comfort tried to hide. Those who run from pain remain unchanged. Those who face it are shaped by it. Pain demands presence. You cannot escape it without cost. Avoided pain transforms into weakness. Faced pain transforms into wisdom. Growth always involves discomfort. Muscles tear before they strengthen. Character fractures before it refines. Pain is the price of evolution. When pain is approached with awareness, it teaches restraint. It teaches humility. It teaches resilience. When pain is approached with resistance, it multiplies. Do not ask why pain came. Ask what it is training. Pain strips illusions. It removes false confidence. It exposes dependency. In doing so, it clears space for something real. Those who endure pain consciously develop depth. Depth creates stability. Stability creates leadership. Pain ends eventually. The lesson remains permanently. If you allow pain to shape you rather than harden you, it becomes guidance. It sharpens priorities. It clarifies boundaries. It strengthens discipline. When pain is understood, fear loses authority. When fear loses authority, courage stabilizes. And in that courage, a deeper strength prepares itself quietly for what comes next. 7. Your body is your temple. The body is not separate from the mind. It is the mind made visible. Many speak of discipline, clarity, and strength, while neglecting the vessel that must carry all three. Wisdom does not ignore the body. Wisdom begins there. The body record. As every choice you make, every hour of rest or neglect, every act of respect or abuse, it does not judge, but it remembers, and eventually it responds. A weak body creates hesitation. A neglected body creates instability. A trained body creates confidence before a word is spoken. Strength is not vanity. Strength is capacity. It is the ability to endure pressure without collapse. It is the ability to remain present when discomfort arises. It is the ability to act when the mind hesitates. When the body is trained, the mind learns obedience. When the body is disciplined, the mind follows structure. Movement teaches commitment more effectively than thought. Your posture affects your courage. Your breath affects your emotions. Your physical habits influence your mental endurance. These are not philosophies, they are realities. The body thrives on consistency. Irregular effort creates irregular results. Regular training builds reliability. Reliability builds trust within yourself. Pain in training is controlled. Pain avoided becomes chaotic. One strengthens, the other weakens. Respecting the body is not obsession. It is responsibility. You cannot expect clarity from a system in disarray. When the body becomes strong, resilience increases. When resilience increases, challenges feel lighter. When challenges feel lighter, discipline becomes sustainable. A disciplined body supports a disciplined life, and once the body is aligned, a deeper truth emerges quietly. Strength alone. Knee is not enough without repetition. 8. Consistency defeats motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Consistency is loyal. Motivation arrives when conditions feel favorable. Consistency remains when conditions are difficult. Wisdom builds on what remains. Those who wait for motivation wait indefinitely. Those who build consistency act regardless. Consistency is the practice of returning to effort, returning to discipline, returning to intention, even after failure, especially after failure. Small actions repeated daily carry more power than rare moments of intensity. Intensity impresses. Consistency transforms. The mind resists repetition because repetition exposes identity. You cannot hide behind effort when effort becomes routine. Consistency is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not demand recognition. It works in silence while others search for inspiration. Each consistent action strengthens self-trust. Each broken pattern weakens it. Over time, trust determines confidence more than talent ever will. Consistency trains patience. Results appear slowly at first. This discourages the impatient. It strengthens the committed. You do not rise suddenly. You rise gradually, then suddenly it becomes visible. Consistency removes drama from growth. There is no constant evaluation, only practice. When consistency becomes identity, discipline feels natural, effort feels expected. Progress becomes inevitable. Those who master consistency stop negotiating with resistance. They act first, feelings follow. And as consistency stabilizes, another challenge reveals itself: the need for approval. 9. Detach from approval. The need for approval is a silent chain. It does not restrict movement. It restricts authenticity. It shapes behavior subtly until you no longer recognize your own intentions. Approval feels safe. Rejection feels dangerous. This instinct is ancient. Wisdom requires overcoming it. Those who live for approval live reactively. Their direction shifts with opinion. Their confidence fluctuates with feedback. Their peace depends on others. Detachment from approval is not arrogance. It is independence. It is the ability to act in alignment, even when misunderstood. Approval seeking weakens boundaries. It dilutes discipline. It invites compromise where clarity is required. When you detach from approval, loneliness may appear. Let it. Loneliness is temporary. Self-respect is permanent. Those who respect themselves attract respect naturally. Those who chase respect repel it. Detachment allows truth to surface. Truth strengthens character. Character stabilizes life. You do not need to be liked to be aligned. You do not need validation to be correct. You need courage to remain steady. When approval loses power, freedom increases. When freedom increases, responsibility follows. And responsibility prepares the mind for a deeper form of strength still waiting ahead. 10. Clarity comes from responsibility. Clarity does not arrive through thinking alone. It arrives through ownership. Many search for clarity while avoiding responsibility. They wait for certainty before action. Wisdom moves differently. Wisdom understands that clarity is a consequence, not a prerequisite. When you take responsibility, confusion begins to dissolve. When you avoid it, confusion multiplies. Responsibility simplifies life by narrowing focus to what is within your control. Blame feels relieving in the moment. It releases pressure, but it also releases power. Every time blame is chosen, authority is surrendered. Responsibility gathers strength inward. It removes distraction. It eliminates unnecessary emotion. It sharpens perception. When you accept responsibility, you stop asking who caused the problem and start asking how to resolve it. This shift alone changes outcomes. Responsibility does not mean self-attack. It means self-command. It means acknowledging reality without resistance. Clarity emerges when excuses fall away. Excuses cloud judgment. Ownership clears vision. A responsible mind becomes proactive. It anticipates challenges. It prepares rather than reacts. Responsibility anchors identity. You become someone others can rely on. More importantly, you become someone you can rely on. With responsibility, decisions become cleaner. There is less internal debate, less fragmentation, less hesitation. Responsibility is heavy at first, but once carried consistently, it strengthens posture. It builds confide, dense without noise. And as responsibility stabilizes clarity, another realization appears quietly. Clarity must be sharpened. 11. Train the mind like a blade. A dull blade forces effort. A sharp blade moves effortlessly. The mind is no different. An untrained mind overthinks simple matters and collapses under pressure. A trained mind cuts through complexity with calm precision. Training the mind is not about controlling thoughts forcefully. It is about observing them clearly. Awareness sharpens judgment. A blade is sharpened through friction. The mind is sharpened through challenge. Avoidance dulls it. Focus is a muscle. It strengthens with use. Weak focus scatters energy. Strong focus directs it. Training requires repetition, meditation, reflection, stillness, discipline. These are not escapes. They are preparation. A sharp mind recognizes patterns quickly. It sees through distraction. It detects false urgency. Mental training reduces reaction time. Instead of emotional reflex, there is considered response. The mind becomes reliable. Calm becomes default. Chaos loses influence. Training the mind also requires removing excess. Too much information dulls perception. Silence sharpens it. A trained mind respects limits. It knows when to stop consuming and start applying. As the mind sharpens, confidence becomes grounded, not loud, not fragile, and with sharpness comes discernment, knowing when to engage and when to withdraw. This discernment leads naturally to distance from the crowd. 12. Loneliness is part of leadership. Leadership begins where comfort ends. The path of responsibility, clarity, and discipline narrows quickly. Few choose it. Fewer remain on it. Loneliness is not punishment. It is alignment. When your values change, your environment resists. When your standards rise, companionship thins. Leadership requires decisions others avoid. It requires restraint others resent. It requires vision others do not yet see. Loneliness creates space for reflection. Reflection strengthens judgment. Those who fear loneliness remain dependent. Those who accept it become self-sufficient. Being alone is not being abandoned. It is being undistracted. In loneliness, identity stabilizes. Without constant feedback, you hear your own principles. Loneliness teaches self-reliance. It removes emotional crutches. It builds inner authority. Many mistake popularity for leadership. Popularity seeks approval. Leadership accepts isolation. The leader walks ahead. Distance is inevitable. Loneliness also tests commitment. Without witnesses, will you remain disciplined? Without praise, will you persist? Those who endure loneliness emerge with clarity. Clarity attracts the right alliances later. Leadership is forged in solitude before it is recognized publicly. And in that solitude, a deeper strength prepares itself, waiting for the next demand wisdom would place upon it. 13. Routine is freedom disguised. Freedom is often misunderstood. Many believe freedom means absence of structure. Wisdom teaches the opposite. Without routine, the mind drifts. It reacts instead of decides. It spends energy negotiating what should already be decided. Routine removes that burden. Routine is not restriction. It is protection. It protects your attention from chaos. It protects your discipline from emotion. It protects your future from your present mood. When your days lack structure, small decisions exhaust you. what to do, when to do it, whether to do it at all. This quiet fatigue weakens resolve. Routine conserves willpower. It turns effort into habit, habit into identity. A well-built routine creates predictability. Predictability creates calm. Calm creates clarity. Those who resist routine often fear boredom. But boredom is not the enemy. Stagnation is. Routine creates a foundation from which growth can occur safely. Routine frees the mind to focus on what matters. It removes friction from progress. The strongest people are not the most spontaneous. They are the most prepared. Routine does not eliminate choice. It refines it. You choose once, then live by that decision. When routine is aligned with values, life becomes lighter. When routine is absent, life becomes reactive. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is doing what you decided matters. And once routine stabilizes your days, a deeper question rises quietly. Who are you becoming through this structure? 14. Identity over goals. Goals are destinati. Alms. Identity is direction. Many set goals without changing who they are. They chase outcomes while carrying the same habits, the same thinking, the same reactions. This creates conflict. When identity remains unchanged, goals remain temporary. Identity determines behavior. Behavior determines results. Instead of asking what you want to achieve, ask who you must become. An identity-based life removes pressure. You no longer force actions. You express them. When discipline becomes part of who you are, it no longer feels heavy. When responsibility becomes identity, it no longer feels optional. Goals can be abandoned. Identity endures. A person who identifies as disciplined trains even when progress is invisible. A person who identifies as resilient persists even when results delay. Identity shapes perception. Challenges become tests, not threats. Failure becomes feedback, not defeat. Change your identity, and behavior follows naturally. Identity is built through evidence. Each action casts a vote for who you are becoming. Do not wait for confidence to act. Act and confidence forms. As identity stabilizes, comparison fades. You no longer measure yourself against others. You measure alignment. And alignment prepares the ground for a deeper form of strength, control over emotion. 15. Emotional control is true strength. Strength is not the absence of emotion. It is mastery over response. Uncontrolled emotion drains energy. It clouds judgment. It invites regret. Emotional control is not suppression. It is awareness with restraint. When emotion arises, observe before acting. Space creates choice. Reaction feels natural. Response is trained. Those who control emotion remain steady under pressure. Those who do not become predictable. Anger shortens vision. Fear narrows options. Desire distorts priorities. Emotional control restores clarity. This control is built slowly, through pause, through breath, through reflection. Each time you delay reaction, you strengthen authority. Calm is contagious, so is chaos. Leaders choose calm. Emotional control does not remove feeling, it refines it. With control, emotions become information, not commands. And as control deepens, the mind prepares itself quietly for the next level of wisdom still waiting to be faced. 16. Time reveals priorities. Time does not lie, it does not argue, it does not negotiate. Time quietly exposes the truth of what matters to you. Many speak of priorities, few live them. Words are flexible, time is honest. Where your time goes, your life follows. You can say something is important, but time will correct you. You can claim discipline, but time will verify it. You can declare intention, but time will expose consistency. Every day is a transaction. You trade hours for outcomes, attention for direction, energy for identity. Time does not ask for perfection. It asks for presence. Repeated presence becomes priority. What you return to daily shapes you more than what at you think about occasionally. Habits are time made visible. Those who drift through time feel lost. Those who direct time feel grounded. When time is unmanaged, urgency controls you. When time is respected, you control urgency. Wisdom does not fill time. Wisdom structures it. Structure does not eliminate freedom. It clarifies it. When your time is aligned with your values, effort feels meaningful. When it is misaligned, exhaustion follows quickly. Time magnifies behavior. Small neglect becomes large regret. Small discipline becomes quiet mastery. Do not ask what you want in life. Look at where your time already goes. That is the answer. Time reveals avoidance as clearly as commitment. Distraction is rarely accidental. It is often chosen. Respect for time is respect for life itself. When time is treated casually, life feels shallow. When time is treated carefully, life gains depth. As awareness of time deepens, another realization forms quietly. Priorities cannot remain stable without inner grounding. 17. Spiritual grounding creates stability. Without roots, even strong trees fall. Spiritual grounding is not belief, it is alignment. It is the inner orientation that remains steady when circumstances shift. In moments of success, grounding prevents arrogance. In moments of failure, it prevents collapse. A grounded person does not depend entirely on external outcomes for peace. They are centered before conditions change. Spiritual grounding is built through STI, illness, reflection, meaning, purpose beyond ego. When life accelerates, grounding slows the mind. When pressure intensifies, grounding steadies the breath. Without grounding, ambition becomes restless. Achievement becomes empty. Progress feels hollow. Grounding reminds you why discipline matters, why boundaries exist, why effort is chosen. It connects action to meaning. Meaning sustains endurance. A spiritually grounded life does not escape the world. It engages it with clarity. Grounding creates humility. Humility keeps learning alive. When you know what you stand on, you are not easily shaken. Chaos may surround you, but it does not enter you. Grounding transforms uncertainty into trust. Not blind trust, but quiet confidence. This stability allows patience. Patience allows wisdom to mature. And from that stability, the final truth prepares itself silently, waiting to be carried forward. 18. Putting yourself first serves the world. There is a misunderstanding that has quietly damaged generations. It is the belief that putting yourself first is selfish. This belief sounds noble, it sounds moral, it sounds responsible. And yet, it is incomplete. Wisdom reveals that when misunderstood, it becomes destructive. Putting yourself first does not mean ignoring others. It does not mean withdrawing compassion. It does not mean elevating ego above responsibility. It means establishing strength before offering support. It means becoming stable before becoming available. A person who is internally fragmented cannot truly serve anyone. They may try, they may sacrifice, they may give endlessly, but what they offer will be mixed with resentment, fatigue, and quiet emptiness. Service without self-respect becomes depletion. Depletion becomes bitterness. Bitterness poisons intention. Wisdom understands sequence. First alignment, then contribution. When you put yourself first correctly, you are not choosing isolation, you are choosing preparation. A broken tool cannot build. A dull blade cannot cut. A restless mind cannot guide. A depleted body cannot protect. Strength must exist before it can be shared. Those who neglect themselves often believe they are being generous. But generosity without structure collapses. It creates dependency instead of empowerment. Putting yourself first is the discipline of becoming whole. It is waking up early to train the body so that your presence later is strong. It is saying no to distraction so that your yes carries weight. It is choosing silence so that your words land with clarity. When you are centered, your presence alone stabilizes others. You do not need to rescue. You do not need to fix. You simply stand and others feel it. The world does not need more exhausted helpers. It needs grounded leaders. It needs calm minds. It needs disciplined examples. Putting yourself first is how you become that example. Your actions teach more than your advice. Your habits instruct more than your opinions. Your inner GY influences more than your words. When you live with integrity, others sense permission to do the same. This is how service multiplies. Those who never put themselves first eventually burn out. When they fall, they help no one. When they become bitter, they spread confusion. When they collapse, they require rescue. Strength prevents collapse. A person who respects themselves respects boundaries. Boundaries prevent resentment. Resentment erodes compassion. A person who trains themselves models consistency. Consistency inspires trust. Trust creates community. Putting yourself first creates reliability. Others know where you stand. They know what you represent. They know what to expect. Reliability is rare. That is why it is valuable. Service is not about availability. It is about quality. One centered individual can influence more than 100 scattered ones. When your life is ordered, you bring order wherever you go. When your emotions are regulated, you de-escalate chaos without effort. When your values are clear, you remove confusion simply by existing. This is silent service. Putting yourself first also means confronting your weaknesses honestly. It means facing discomfort before it becomes damage. It means training what is fragile until it becomes stable. Avoiding this work may feel kind in the short term. In the long term, it is irresponsible. The world pays the price for untrained minds, unmanaged emotions, and undisciplined lives. Wisdom demands accountability. When you choose to strengthen yourself, you reduce harm, you reduce projection, you reduce reaction. You become less of a burden and more of a pillar. This is service. Putting yourself first means protecting your energy so that when you give fully. It means resting when necessary so that effort remains sustainable. It means knowing when to step back so that presence does not turn into pressure. Service that ignores limits becomes forceful. Service that respects limits becomes healing. The world does not need more noise. It needs more clarity. Clarity comes from inner order. Inner order comes from self-mastery. Self-mastery requires choosing yourself before the world demands you. This is not selfishness. This is stewardship. You are responsible for the state you bring into every room. You are responsible for the tone of your actions. You are responsible for the example you embody. When you put yourself first, you take responsibility seriously, and responsibility is the foundation of trust. People trust those who are consistent. They trust those who are calm. They trust those who do not abandon themselves under pressure. When trust exists, influence follows naturally. True service is not loud. It is stable. It does not seek recognition. It creates results. It does not exhaust itself proving worth. It preserves strength and applies it where it matters. Putting yourself first is not a withdrawal from humanity. It is a preparation to meet IT properly. You do not elevate yourself above others. You elevate yourself so that you do not pull others down. This is the difference between ego and responsibility. Ego puts itself first to dominate. Wisdom puts itself first to support. Ego seeks comfort. Wisdom seeks capacity. Ego avoids effort. Wisdom invests effort. The world feels the difference immediately. When you walk with alignment, others feel safe. When you speak with clarity, others listen. When you act with restraint, others reflect. This is leadership without force. Putting yourself first teaches others to do the same correctly. Not through instruction, but through example. Example is the most honest form of teaching. You cannot demand discipline. You do not practice. You cannot request calm. You do not embody. You cannot expect respect. You do not show yourself. The world mirrors what you model. When you put yourself first with wisdom, you raise the standard silently. That standard spreads, families stabilize, teams strengthen, communities mature, all because one person chose order over chaos within. This is how change actually happens, not through speeches alone, through lived alignment. The strongest contribution you can make is to become someone whose presence improves the environment without effort. That journey does not end here. It continues wherever discipline is tested, wherever clarity is required, and wherever the next decision quietly waits to reveal who you are becoming. 19. Back. Own the standard you seek. Do not wait for the world to change. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for alignment to appear around you. Become it. Most people search endlessly for standards outside themselves. They look for leaders to follow, systems to trust, rules to obey, paths already cleared. This search weakens them quietly. It teaches dependence. It delays responsibility. Wisdom takes a different path. Wisdom understands that the standard you seek must first exist within you. If you wait for discipline to surround you, you will remain undisciplined. If you wait for clarity to arrive from outside, confusion will persist. If you wait for others to rise, you will stay where you are. The world reflects what is embodied, not what is requested. Becoming the standard is not an announcement. It is a decision made in silence and honored daily through action. It is choosing consistency when inconsistency is easier. It is choosing restraint when indulgence is available. It is choosing effort when excuses are ready. Standards are not rules imposed on others. They are behaviors you refuse to abandon. When you live by a standard, you do not need to enforce it. Others feel it. They sense stability. They recognize coherence. They respond instinctively. A person without standards is easily influenced. A person with standards becomes influential without trying. Standards shape behavior under pressure. They determine how you act when no one is watching, when outcomes are uncertain, when comfort is threatened. You do not rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your standards. This is why standards matter more than motivation. Motivation fluctuates. Standards remain. When you become the standard, you remove confusion from your life. Decisions become simpler. Choices become clearer. Internal conflict reduces. You no longer debate whether to act. You act because that is who you are. Becoming the standard requires honesty, brutal honesty. You must see where you compromise, where you delay, where you tolerate what weakens you. Standards expose weakness not to shame you, but to refine you. Refinement is uncomfortable. Growth always is. Many abandon standards because they feel heavy. They mistake heaviness for harm. In truth, the weight is resistance leaving the body. Standards demand repetition. One act does not define you. Repeated acts do. Each time you uphold your standard, you reinforce identity. Each time you violate it, you fracture trust within yourself. Self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Without it, strength becomes performance. When you become the standard, you stop seeking validation. Approval becomes irrelevant. Criticism becomes information, not injury. You no longer chase excellence. You embody it. This embodiment affects everything you touch. your work sharpens, your relationships clarify, your presence stabilizes environments without effort. You do not need to convince others. Consistency convinces for you. Becoming the standard also means accepting solitude. Few will match your pace. Fewer will understand your restraint. Many will project their discomfort onto your discipline. Let them. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be aligned. Alignment creates gravity. Gravity attracts what belongs. When you hold a standard long enough, others either rise to meet it or drift away. Both outcomes serve clarity. The world often rewards compromise quickly. It rewards standards slowly. But what is built slowly lasts. Standards protect you from regret. They preserve dignity. They prevent self-betrayal. A life without standards feels flexible but becomes fragile. A life with standards feels demanding but becomes unbreakable. Do not confuse kindness with weakness. Kindness guided by standards becomes integrity. Do not confuse humility with self-erasure. Humility guided by standards becomes strength. When you become the standard, you stop asking how to control life. You learn how to conduct yourself within it. Conduct determines outcome more than circumstance ever will. The standard you live by today becomes the legacy you carry tomorrow. Legacy is not what you leave behind. It is what you leave within people through example. People remember how you stood, how you moved under pressure, how you responded when it mattered. They remember consistency. The world is shaped quietly by those who refuse to lower their standards for comfort. If you want discipline in your life, become disciplined. If you want clarity in your environment, become clear. If you want strength around you, become strong. The standard must exist before it can spread. And when you fully embody it, the next step will no longer need to be explained. It will reveal itself through the way you choose to walk forward. 20. Live in alignment, not applause. Applause is loud. Alignment is quiet. And most people spend their lives chasing what is loud while abandoning what is true. Applause feels rewarding because it arrives quickly. It gives immediate feedback. It confirms visibility. But it is unstable. It rises and disappears without warning. Those who depend on it live anxiously, adjusting themselves to the next reaction, the next response, the next signal of approval. Alignment moves differently. It does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. It builds slowly, internally, through choices made when no one is watching. Wisdom teaches that a life built for applause will eventually feel empty, while a life built in alignment will eventually feel unshakable. Alignment means your actions match your values. Your habits reflect your principles. Your decisions agree with your conscience. When alignment exists, peace follows naturally. Not excitement, not constant happiness. Peace, the kind that does not need explanation. Many people confuse applause with success. They believe recognition is proof of correctness, but recognition only proves visibility, not integrity. Alignment asks harder questions. Is this choice consistent with who I decided to become? Would I still choose this if no one noticed? Does this strengthen or weaken my character? These questions are uncomfortable. That is why they are avoided. A person living for applause avoids silence. Silence removes witnesses. Silence exposes motivation. Silence reveals whether the path is chosen for truth or for image. Those who live in alignment do not fear silence. They use it to recalibrate. Alignment creates internal order. Internal order simplifies life. When you know what you stand for, fewer decisions feel complicated. You do not need to evaluate every option. You filter by principle. Principles reduce noise. Without alignment, success creates anxiety. With alignment, even struggle feels meaningful. Many reach positions they once desired, only to feel lost within them. They achieved the image, but lost themselves in the process. This loss does not announce itself immediately. It appears quietly as restlessness, dissatisfaction, irritability, emptiness. Alignment prevents this erosion. When your life is aligned, effort feels purposeful, sacrifice feels chosen, discipline feels honorable. You no longer ask, is this worth it? You know why you are doing it. Living for applause requires constant adjustment. Opinions change, trends shift, crowds move unpredictably. Chasing them demands endless compromise. Living in alignment requires commitment. Once chosen, it must be upheld repeatedly. This repetition builds identity. Identity built on alignment is stable. Identity built on applause is fragile. When alignment is strong, criticism loses power, not because it disappears, but because it is evaluated calmly. Feedback becomes information, not threat. A person in alignment listens without collapsing and stands firm without aggression. This is maturity. Alignment also demands restraint. Not every opportunity deserves acceptance. Not every platform deserves your voice. Not every reaction deserves expression. Restraint is misunderstood as limitation. In truth, it is precision. Precision creates impact. When you speak less, but with alignment, words carry weight. When you act less, but with intention, actions create change. Applause rewards excess. Alignment rewards accuracy. Living in alignment often means disappointing others. Expectations built on your previous compliance will be challenged. Roles you once played will dissolve. This discomfort is temporary. Self-respect is permanent. Disappointment reveals dependence when others rely on a version of you that contradicts your values. Alignment demands distance. Distance creates clarity. Alignment also exposes fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, fear of standing alone. These fears weaken when faced directly. Courage is not loud. Courage is consistent alignment under pressure. When alignment guides you, you stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. You stop defending your choices emotionally. You let your actions speak over time. Time validates alignment more accurately than applause ever will. Applause reacts to moments. Alignment endures across seasons. A life in alignment may appear slower. Progress may seem less dramatic. Recognition may arrive later or not at all. But what is built will be solid. Solid things last. Alignment also changes how you measure success. You stop measuring by comparison and start measuring by coherence. Does your life make sense internally? Do your actions support your long-term direction? This measurement is honest. It cannot be manipulated. When alignment exists, even failure does not destroy confidence. You may fall short, but you do not feel false. You adjust without shame. Shame thrives in misalignment. It feeds on contradiction between who you appear to be and who you know you are. Alignment removes that contradiction. A person in alignment sleeps differently, breathes differently, walks differently. Not because life is easier, but because it is truthful. Truth reduces internal conflict. When inner conflict reduces, energy returns. Focus sharpens. Patience increases. Alignment strengthens everything upstream. This is why living in alignment is not a luxury. It is a necessity for longevity. Without alignment, ambition burns fast and collapses. With alignment, effort becomes sustainable. The world will always offer applause for what is loud, extreme, or convenient. It rarely applauds discipline, restraint, or consistency. That is why alignment must be chosen deliberately. You will not be rewarded immediately. You will not always be understood. You will not always feel celebrated, but you will feel grounded. Grounded people do not drift. They move deliberately. They do not chase meaning. They live it. When alignment becomes your reference point, you stop asking where you belong. You know where you stand. Standing firmly allows you to walk forward without hesitation. And when you walk forward this way, the next challenge will not test your confidence. It will test how faithfully you continue to live by what you already know to be true. The journey you have heard is not meant to impress you, it is meant to return you to yourself. Every principle, every discipline, every moment of stillness points to one truth. Your life becomes powerful when it is ordered from within. Not when the world changes, not when approval arrives, not when conditions improve, but when you decide to live with clarity, restraint, and responsibility. Putting yourself first was never about ego. It was about alignment. It was about building strength before offering service, mastering yourself before attempting to master outcomes, and becoming stable enough to stand when pressure comes. Discipline was not presented as punishment, but as respect. Silence was not shown as absence, but as authority. Pain was not framed as an enemy, but as a teacher. Boundaries were not rejection, but wisdom. Consistency replaced motivation. Identity replaced goals. Emotional control replaced reaction. Time revealed truth. Grounding created stability. Standards replaced excuses. Alignment replaced applause. None of this requires perfection. It requires honesty. It requires the courage to stop abandoning yourself for comfort, distraction, or validation. If you choose this path, life will not become easier, but it will become clearer. And clarity brings strength. Strength brings calm. Calm brings influence. Influence, when guided by wisdom, serves more than noise ever could. The world does not need more people who know what is right. It needs more people who live it quietly, daily, without compromise. What happens next is not determined by what you felt while listening, but by what you practice when no one is watching. And the direction you choose from here will reveal, more honestly than words ever could, who you have decided to become.